You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Wake up to the world you've been missing. Time to jump out of bed in the morning. No day, no life, now we're living. Can you feel it in the air that you're breathing? Time to show 'em what you're made of. Let's get back on track. Are you ready for a come on? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Are you ready now? You're lifting off the ground. Welcome back. No coming down. Can you feel it all around? Welcome back.
Hello and welcome back to Super Mega Crash Beyond. I am your host, Stephen White. With me, as always, is my co-host, Lacey Finley.
Oh, happy Monday.
Before we get into this, and I feel like it's not going to be something we're going to talk about on the show, but I want to bring it up, okay?
Okay.
And I talked to you about it yesterday. And I want to lay down this recommendation. It's probably not going to...
Oh.
It's
Okay,
not
I was
going
wondering where you're
to...
going with it. I was like, what did you tell me yesterday? Okay.
I don't feel like it's going to... Like, people are going to think I'm crazy. But I am going to recommend people check out Knuckles
Okay. Yeah.
on Paramount Plus, okay? Because I saw savage reviews when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
People were just so fucking angry, just like, what the hell is this? I don't understand. This is not a Knuckles show. Bah!
Okay.
I get it. I do.
Mm-hmm.
The show really should have been like Knuckles and Wade instead of Knuckles, because it really does seem to center more on the character of Wade Whipple from the Sonic movies, who was like Tom's deputy that was kind of just comic relief in the background. You know,
Okay.
Adam Pally, I think he played the character. And this show seems like a showcase for him in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But you're still kind of using Knuckles. You know, he's got to, like, there's stories that are...
Is he not like the main character in a show called Knuckles?
Yeah, and I understand. I understand why people would be angry, because there's
Okay.
even at least one episode where I think he's at the beginning, and that's all you see of Knuckles. Maybe at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so he's nowhere to be found in the middle. But Knuckles himself
Uh-huh.
is a driving force in that episode where Wade is
Okay.
trying to figure out, like, his inner strength. You know what I mean? Like some kind of, like, he gets passed out and then he goes into this dream state. And it really harkens back to, I don't know if people remember the Sonic 2006 game. I think it was just called Sonic 06.
Vaguely,
Roasted. Yeah, roasted game. People don't like it. There's a lot of weird shit in there. But they pull from the lore from that into this episode. And funny enough, even that same episode, I think it was directed by Jorma Taccone. I think I'm saying his name right. He's one of the Lonely Island guys.
Oh.
So it was a musical-esque episode in a sense, you know, not a
Okay.
full musical, but in a sense, a musical episode. So
Sure.
you can feel the comedy and everything very much reminiscent of kind of the Lonely Island, because they pull Michael Bolton in for vocals,
God.
and I'm sitting there going, come on, man. So there was just this ridiculousness about the entire show that was just like, what the fuck is this supposed to be? But I think that's why I loved it so much, because I had no expectations whatsoever.
Yeah, same.
I was just like, it's a show about Knuckles. What's it going to be? I mean, they're not going to do the big thing that they would do in a movie. They're going to try to keep it small, and they do. But there's some good action bits in there. There's some good fight sequences. Knuckles does get in there and he brawls, but it's the
Is
humor.
it Idris Elba?
Yeah, Idris Elba. He's one of the producers. Okay.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking this was probably some just standalone thing somebody did. Not actually related to the universe they're creating right now or whatever.
No, I mean,
Interesting.
it does build off of that, I guess, you know, since where we last left him in part 2, you know, he's living with Tom and his wife and Sonic and Tails. So they call them their children, as you kind of remember at the end of the movie or part 2, they kind of said, oh, these are our kids now or whatever. And Knuckles is still trying to find his place in the world, like trying to acclimate to everything. So they kind of send him off on a journey. It's like, hey, just go out there and just live, man. Just figure out where you need to be. And that's where he winds up with Wade and how they're... And essentially Wade's story is just, he was apparently abandoned by his dad. So he's got daddy issues. Mm-hmm. But he's also wanting to compete in this big bowling tournament in Reno. And that's the big hook to the whole thing. So it's about a bowling tournament. So again, it just seems ridiculous. But there's so many funny people in it, so many funny things in it that I'm just like, just shed your expectations and just dive in. There was a scene that I think this is where I was like, this is what I'm loving so much because it's so ludicrous. Okay, one of his bowling buddies, or a guy he was bowling with, like in the first episode, he's apparently a bounty hunter, and then a bounty got put on Wade's head. Once it all got sorted out and Wade gets away or whatever, they kind of have this weird fucking duel. the one dude's on a motorcycle and he's got like a big spear or whatever, and then Wade gets on a fucking...
Like trying to John Wick it or something?
Well, kind of like you face off jousting, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so he gets on a bicycle, like a kid's bike with a sword. Ching, and ching. So they have this face off. He wins. And then he, goes up to the guy and he's just like, I want your jacket. Now I want your shirt. Now I want this. And then as the guy is taking off his last shirt, he just, all he's got...
His last shirt?
Yeah, because he takes off a jacket, he takes off a vest, and then he takes off the shirt, because that's what he asked him for. And then as the guy's taking off his shirt, he's got like one of the undershirts under it. But as he's taking it off, he's like...
an AT?
Yeah, he's just taking it off going, don't look at me! Don't look at me! And it's so ridiculous. But I laughed so hard. I was just like, this is so ridiculous, but I love it.
Sometimes things get so stupid it wraps back around to glorious, and I don't know how to explain it better than that.
And even better, there was a scene, and I'm gonna have to look up the guy's name, but at the bowling tournament, hold on, I'm gonna because I know the guy. Like as soon as I saw him, I knew who he was, but I'm usually when I think of him with a mustache, and he didn't have a mustache, but I know his voice. Okay. But him and Paul Scheer were commentators for the bowling tournament, and just the shit they came up with.
Well, this doesn't sound so bad. It sounds like tomfoolery at its finest.
I really Edie Patterson. Okay, do you know from the Righteous Gemstones, Vice Principals? She's the sister in the Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she is Wade's sister, and she's got that same kind of face-off energy that she's always doing. It's like, oh, you're a loser. I've worked for the FBI. What are you doing?
What are you doing, loser?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
It's like you just don't understand. This is FBI talk. We're talking FBI stuff over here, and she commits to it.
Yeah.
So I just. I understand why people are upset. Rob Hubel, that's the guy I was thinking of. Okay. Guarantee I've seen him and stuff. Hang on. Like I said, I usually know him with a mustache. He has been in, he was in the Goldberg.
Or Rod?
Rob.
Oh.
I think it was in Reno 911.
Rob Michael Hugel?
His is just Rob Hubel.
Maybe I'll go back to Knuckles and see here. Because I was like, it's not on there.
But he played, I think his character's name was Dylan. Some weird, stupid ass last name. Point being, anyway, I highly recommend Knuckles. I think just
Cary Elwes.
Yes, he was the dad. And he plays. Gosh, right. I mean, come on.
Pally even. I'm looking at him. I'm like, I know these people.
Yeah. So a lot of funny people, a lot of great comedy.
Yeah.
Rory McCann from the
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, he's the voice of Knuckles. I don't remember what the hell they call him. His chief or whatever from his village.
Chief Pachakamak.
Sure. There's a whole joke about how to say the name, and Wade couldn't even do it, and it was just
Yeah, I'm
ridiculousness.
staring at it, I'm like, I don't know what that says.
But again,
okay.
6
There's
episodes.
so many people.
6 episodes, 30 minutes a pop. It's barely. I mean, you could watch that over the course of a day.
Easy,
if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a lot of fun. Just don't even the way they like. I don't even want to say how they ended it, but the final frame. It was like, yeah, I expected that. After everything that we just saw, that is the way to end this. Forget it. I love it. I think it's good. Yeah. I really do. So I
like when people like things.
Again, I understand why people are pissed. Mm-hmm. Because it's not what they were expecting. But forget what your expectations were. And just say, this is a ridiculous show. People see him walking around and they're just like, okay, Knuckles.
Right, yeah. Nobody has a reaction to that. Sure.
No, it's fine. It's a whatever thing. So, again, this is the world we're living in. Why is any of this other shit ridiculous? Not ridiculous, It's all ridiculous. So just lean into it and enjoy it for what it is. It's a silly comedy show. That's it. Okay.
Like I said, I'm always in between stuff, I feel like, anymore, because there's no such thing as a real season, I feel like.
No.
These days. It's either all at once or you get like 6 episodes and screw off till next year. You know? So I'm like, I forget about you by then.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to throw that out because I didn't feel like we'd spend any time on it. And I know people are going to be like, what? Fuck you. But I thought it was a lot of fun, and I don't want people to miss out on it because they're reading these reviews and just being like, well, shit,
Yeah. That's why I try to stay away from reviews until I've seen the thing I want to see, because it will sometimes cloud my judgment. I'll have it in the back of my head whether you want it to or not, like waiting for whatever it was you read the review on.
But when I read the reviews, I mean, I guess I was a little taken aback by it. Not a little surprised, I guess, because it was like, well, it's just, whatever. Maybe it's just not meeting expectations or whatever. But when I started hearing, well, Knuckles is hardly in, I was like, okay, that's odd, but I'll judge for myself. And then that's the mindset I had to go into. And so I started, I was in it, man. I don't know what else to say. So it might not be for everybody, but I genuinely think that people will enjoy it if they give it a chance, temper your expectations of whatever you think it's supposed to be in your head, and just think it's a silly side quest. With
there you go.
2 characters who are not the main focus of this franchise, but we're dealing with it. Why not?
Yeah, and then I would almost think that would be a safer way to go. Because then there isn't as many people with all of this lore in the back of their head with how it should go, But, I mean, I don't know. I don't dive that hard into a lot of these things that I know people like worship. So I'm not judging you for it. There's a lot I would probably miss because I don't dive that deep.
Yeah. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about today.
No.
We have another show that we want to talk about today. Another one I think I would highly recommend as well. But not only do I want to talk about the show, but I feel like we can kind of expand a little bit and just talk about the man himself.
Oh, of course. I figured those tangents are just going to have to happen because us. Yeah. Because I followed this man for a very long time, since the 90s. So
Conan O'Brien Must Go is his new show that premiered on Max back in April. And
the Great Defiler.
And the fact that it starts with Werner Herzog talking about Conan O'Brien and the great, what did he call him?
The Defiler.
The Defiler. And what was the last thing he would say?
Oh, gosh. I didn't watch it every episode. That was my bad. I watched it the first time and listened to it and laughed, and then my brain will move on. But he would say, I have to rely on you for remembering lines.
Yeah, he said something along the lines of, it's not madness. God damn it, I can't remember. But it was just how it's the man's voice, okay?
Oh, my God. It's so great.
The fact that they got him to do it, I was like, yeah, this is absolutely what needed to happen, because they did have him on the podcast not that long ago or at least I say not that long ago in my head. It could
On
have
the A Conan Needs a Friend?
yeah. And I was excited as hell. I was like, holy shit, they got Werner Herzog? That's awesome. So to see that he narrated the opening did not.
Oh, okay.
Someone
has a happy scribe here of it. Let's see if I can go to the last one you were saying.
It was sometime last year, maybe.
Okay.
I guess. I mean, time has no meaning anymore. I don't know when it was. It was sometime either earlier this year or sometime last year.
Okay, October 2023. So, okay, not that long. 7-8 months ago. Which would time out probably for filming for, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean,
took them a long time.
They probably had something kind of written out as far as narration. It was like, you want to do this? And he's like, I mean, the man does narration for just about anything anymore. I don't feel like that was too much of a stretch just to be like, you want to do this? Okay, I will read this for you. And then...
No, it is great. It was the most perfect person I think you could have had narrate that for. Yeah.
Now, if you're unfamiliar with what this show is about or how this premise came about, they'll kind of break it down for you in the show. But the TLDR of it all is that obviously Conan has a podcast now. This is like what he's
had for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's about, I'm going to say 6 years now, because I feel like it was something that
close
started
to when he was done, I think, with the TNT talk show he was doing. Because I know that had morphed into its own different thing.
Yeah.
Where he was basically talking to like one guest or something the whole time in that format. And then I think that ended. And then he started doing the podcast. So however long.
Well, there was a little overlap, because I think once he realized kind of what you were saying, where he was trying to change the format of the talk show.
Yeah.
But then he's admitted as much that on the podcast, he feels like he actually gets to talk to people like in a much more intimate setting, have real conversations, get to know someone.
Yeah. No, and you could tell that was the way he was trying to take the show towards the end, because there was no desk anymore.
Yeah.
And he was just sitting there on stage, with, I feel like it was only one person. Did he have more than one guest? Because it was only a half an hour. It wasn't as long as the other ones he did.
I don't remember, but yeah, that what you're saying is correct. I feel like it was just one guest at a time. Rare occasions, I remember sometimes he would do big panel shows, but
yeah, maybe more than one person. Yeah, okay.
But it would be
at the same time.
Yeah, and it would be something for like Game of Thrones or something like that. So you get the entire cast, and then you go around the room and just talk to all of them. So it would be a big event and wouldn't be often. So they'd make a big deal out of it. But I think they were still, because I was not very familiar with the way late night worked, like the talk show aspect formats until very recently. And I know that there have been shows, and I feel like the Larry Sanders Show is what kind of, I was late to that party, but I did get around to it because, I love Gary Shandling. I think he is funny. Yeah, he was comic genius. And that was one of those shows that I never watched when it first aired, because I didn't have cable back in I guess that time frame. I can't remember when it was. It was like, was it a 90s show? Or was it 80s, 90s?
Which one?
For Larry Sanders? Was it?
Oh, gosh.
Kind of in that.
I know 90s for sure.
Yeah. Somewhere in that.
Did it start in the 80s, but maybe, yeah.
I feel like we did get cable at some point when that show was still on the air. But I guess it was.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to remember is if we did. I know we had regular, but I don't know if we had the fancy channels like HBO and Showtime and I don't know, whichever ones, however many there were at the time.
But I know that the show wasn't for me at that age. You know what I mean? It wasn't something. It would
have been older.
Yeah, it wasn't something calling out to me. I would see promos for it. I knew the characters kind of from things that I'd see, but overall, it wasn't a show that I watched. So eventually,
Larry Sanders was 92 to 98.
Okay, so there's that whole wouldn't have been in my purview,
right?
But again, getting older, having all the streaming services, and then one day I was just like, you know what, Larry Sanders. I have always heard about that show, and I think there was even that documentary about Gary after he passed, and I'd watched that. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this show a watch. And not only was it great show, absolutely hilarious. But they showed you some of the inside baseball of talk shows and the pre-interview stuff, how you structure the whole interview pretty much for the show. Mm-hmm. I was just like, they do this? Like they structure this entire thing so nothing is genuine? And then I've heard time and again from like after that, hearing it from Conan and all these other things, that's just how it was. You structure this whole thing. You had
time to meet and commercials to run, and everything was at a very tight time frame. So you had to know what you were going to be doing. I always often wondered that too, especially when they had like a comic on or something. You could kind of tell because it feels like the host was always just teeing them up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Teeing them up for a joke, teeing them up for a joke. So in my head, I'm like, they had to have spoken a little ahead of time, to just, I don't know, line them up that well.
Yeah.
Because it's usually a joke they have on their next tour. So when you watch their special, then you've heard a couple of them from that talk show that they did or blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but.
Yeah, but understanding that there is kind of a confined structure to it all. Mm-hmm. I understand what he's talking about now, that you don't get to know anybody. You really don't get to have a conversation with anybody. And then now in the podcast space, he was getting to do that. So
wasn't always just plugging something for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, they still do, but it's not, not the crux of the conversation. That's like the last 10, 15 minutes. They'll talk about that. Well, but there's still meat all the way in of whatever they want to talk about, from how they got started to whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the way he's kind of described it, once he realized that this is where he kind of wanted to be, then he did kind of put the talk show to bed, because it was like, well, I'm kind of doing the same thing, but I enjoy this more than that. I still love this, but not as much as I do this. So I want to do this new thing now.
It's just a different phase of his life.
Yeah.
He's done that. He was happy with it. Let's try something else.
Exactly.
He's getting up there. Let him, let him do what he wants. It still shocks me when I know he's 60 now. For some reason, it just doesn't.
It doesn't
work in my brain. And maybe that's just how it's always going to be with people that I just grow up with.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're always going to be the same age in my head. And then when they say it, I'm like, no, I've not been watching you for that long. Yeah. No, it's been over 20 years. Okay, never mind.
Yep.
Shit,
But this show that we're talking about was kind of born from a segment that they added, something I've always wanted to do, but have just never taken the initiative to actually submit a question or anything. But apparently you can go to their website or whatever. You could submit a question. Maybe they'll pick you. And then he talks to fans. So it's like a 30-minute conversation where he just talking to a regular person, and they could be from anywhere in the world, whatever. So I guess he picked a few that he found the most interesting, and then he decided to surprise them, which I did find out was genuine. They did their damnedest to ensure.
Which makes the Thailand woman so much more funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, anyway, go ahead. But yeah, like he would just show up and.
Yeah, they said that they would do whatever they could to ensure that the person they were going to surprise did not know, even if there were rumblings that Conan was in town. Because I heard this on, like, they did a special podcast about all these episodes, kind of the behind the scenes stuff. They would tell people, like, we're just in town shooting some stuff for some things. Conan is in town, but he's busy with other stuff. He's going to be confined. Sure. He ain't got time. But if we come by and just say hi or whatever, whatever, and whatever the ruse they had to pull, that's what they would do. So I thought, that's pretty clever. So the surprise on their faces were genuine, which I enjoyed. Because you could see some of them just like, what?
That would be me. I'd be like, this isn't right. Like looking around like, are you an impersonator on my porch right now? Because like it would never occur to me that he would actually show up to my home. Mm-hmm. Never in a million years. And I even looked at the hubs and I'm like, I wouldn't let him in.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want him in my home and be like, can we stay out in the back porch and hang out? Because I saw what you did to the first guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I would die of embarrassment. I'd be like, no, you can't put that on TV. That
So-
I have stale bread for 10 years and potatoes growing new potatoes. You know, like, I don't want you to put that on TV.
So I got a question for you before we dive too deep into this. Can you remember when you were kind of first introduced to him, like what it was? Like, was it the talk show or was it something else?
I think it was the talk show, actually. He would come on the same. I'm trying to remember the time now because I want to say it was like midnight or something. The show that was it after Carson?
Yeah, it would have been, well, it would have been Leno at the time.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it would have been the 11:30, 11:45 time slot. Because I know they would always kind of do that off kilter.
Yeah, like a 5-minute weird thing. Yeah, I never understood what that was either. But yeah, because I mean, when I was younger, I used to stay up really late, you know, and I can remember watching like Blind Date and all those dumb shows, you know, back in the day when like 900 numbers were always like advertised late at night. You're like, oh, call now. So yes, I know I was watching him for that. And I think it was just the tomfoolery of it all that for some reason just drew me to him, which is funny because I never could stand Jim Carrey. Make it make sense.
Okay.
You know, like it just, I never could stand. After he became what I would call more of a straight actor, then I was fine. I want to say Liar, Liar, and Up is when I could start tolerating Jim Carrey. But prior to that, no. And then when I'm watching Conan now, I'm like, why was there a difference in my head?
Okay.
Because now he's probably, especially now, on par with what he would have been in his younger days for Jim Carrey, you know? So maybe I just had to grow up with it because he didn't start off that huge, Conan.
Sure. Yeah. No.
It was several years in. You could tell he was getting more confidence. He'd start doing more bits with Andy and, you know, and then especially around when they started doing the in the year 2000, you know, and then they had to adjust it when like 2000 actually happened, you know, to the year 3000 or whatever. That bit is the one that sticks out in my head for whatever reason the most.
Yeah.
And it just started watching him from there and it just kind of blew up. I even remember, I think I was telling you this story too, like when he first got not the Tonight Show. Yeah.
Well,
and we actually went to a buddy's house who had a big screen TV and did like a whole premiere night with like drinks and all this kind of stuff and watched him do his first monologue and everything on the Tonight Show on the big screen. Little did we know it only lasts like 6 months, but you know, I thought it was good. And then, yeah, that whole tomfoolery time, I could only imagine. Like
I don't feel like I've actually heard him talk very openly about it, but at the same time, I have heard him kind of make jabs at people. The one person that seems to be his target of his ire would be Dick Ebersol. I feel like I've heard him bring him up. He was a big NBC head honcho at one point.
Okay.
And
I don't know the name.
He seemed to be a guy who, funny enough, here's the guy, Dick Ebersol, is responsible for the worst years of Saturday Night Live. Okay?
Ooh. How's that?
Oh, look at the time frame between 80 and 84. Those years.
Dude, so wait. So then Conan knew him from then, because didn't Conan write for Saturday Night Live?
He wrote for Saturday Night Live in the early 80s, around the time that you started getting Dana Carvey and Phil Hartman and that group in. That's when he kind of came in. So I don't know if he dealt with him directly, but clearly Dick Ebersol had a different idea of what's funny. Because his shit wasn't working. Lorne came back and revitalized the show.
Okay.
And
maybe I didn't realize Lorne had left or anything, or
for
didn't start
5
it
years
or whatever.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
for 5 years.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that.
I think it was in from 80 to 84 or 85, and then 85 when he comes back, he resets the entire cast. And
when
then
did it start? 78,
75.
79, 75. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he was there for like the years with the original cast, you know.
Yeah.
And then when they all decided to move on, he's like, well, I'm going to move on too. And then it just didn't work.
And here we are.
Yeah. It just didn't work under Ebersol. He's the guy who fired Conan from the Tonight Show saying that it's just not working. We got to get Jay back. We got to do all this other stuff because it's not working. And it's like, but you're not giving it time.
I wondered myself because it didn't feel like it seemed like that they were just kind of wishy-washy about it even in the first place.
And I don't think he wanted him. I genuinely think that Ebersol just did not want him to have it, but I think there was that anticipation and pressure for him to get it because
he would have been the next in line, if you will, if you're even assuming that is a pathway to the Tonight Show. I don't think it's like a regular job where you just get promoted. You're clearly the next person. But I mean, I don't really know what the numbers look like. I probably could have gone back and looked and everything. I just was very disappointed. And unfortunately, I never cared for Leno before, and I cared for him even less afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was a crap move. Even if you wanted it back, I feel like you shouldn't have. Make them find someone else completely altogether, because it did just make you, I don't know whether he was part of it or not, but it just never really felt like he wanted to retire. Like he was getting forced out at that time. And then maybe he wanted to stay, and I don't know. Did it do well under Leno? I mean, I guess it did. He was there for a while.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure about all the nitty gritties. I know that there was a documentary series that I watched called The History of Late Night, and they did kind of dig into it a little bit.
Because it was strange, man.
Yeah, they were saying there was just a lot of bullshit politics with the people at NBC and what they wanted versus what was right. And
wasn't Letterman kind of talking about that too?
Yeah.
Because wasn't Letterman supposedly really supposed to be the one to go into it, and then they chose Leno, which is why Letterman broke off and did CBS, right?
That's
His
correct.
show on CBS, yeah.
Well, there was
God, there's so much, right?
Yeah, there. With that scenario, I feel like there was a different party at play. Now, Jay could have put his foot down a little bit sooner. He could have done something and realized that, no, this is not what we need to do. But his manager at the time, Helen Kushner, I think is her name, she was like a ball breaker. And she was like, I'm going to make this kid a star and fuck anybody who gets in my way. And people were just like, all right, fuck it. Chill, because she was vicious.
Okay.
And
get it, girl. If you're an agent, I want an agent fighting for me like that. Let's go. Yeah.
But it was some of her underhanded tactics that is what kind of, because the story goes is that there was a news article that came out, and I can't remember what newspaper it was, but one of the big headlines, New York Times, something like that, that NBC was trying to push out Johnny, even though no one had said anything. But then this rumor started. Why in the
world would you ever do that?
Because then it seemed that pushed Johnny into saying, well, maybe I need to retire because they don't want me anymore. I'm getting too old. So you plant this seed, you get it into people's heads, and then the door's wide open. And you're like, well, look what we got over here. We got a golden boy. He's doing great on the show. Huh? Yeah. He's right here. You don't have to deal with anything. He's ready to go.
He's ready to do it.
Yeah. So while I can appreciate what she's trying to achieve, because like you said, a good manager is going to fight for you. Yeah. She did it in some slippery, slimy ways. Yeah.
Maybe don't do it that way.
Yeah.
But, I mean, most people who have made severe fame, like, I don't know how much you can do that as honestly as you think.
No, that's true.
Same thing I think about billionaires. I'm like, well, you didn't do that without harming a ton of people along the way. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that's possible to earn that much, honestly. But all right, fine, But what do I know, really?
But if you want a better explanation of all the shit that I've said, go check out the History of Late Night, because it's a very intriguing documentary series that goes from, I'm talking like way back when. We're talking like Steve Allen, Jack Parr, like they get into that, and then the rise of Carson, how that just blew up, and then where we are today. So very, like, I really appreciate documentaries that really do the deep dives into it. Yeah. There's one on Apple TV right now about Steve Martin, and I've watched the first part of that, and damn, I was so surprised because they were just talking about his early career as a comedian, and it blows my mind to hear that he struggled for years before his act clicked. Like he said, he would just perform and just people were just like, what the fuck is this? I don't understand it. And
Yeah,
maybe he
I
didn't
mean,
either. But
he was a little before his time, I guess, on some stuff, like,
Mhm.
yeah, I could see that because it was another different. Well, if you look at the humor,
Yeah.
throughout that time frame, it's always those who are trying to go beyond it that there's a little pushback for a little bit because people don't like change.
no.
It's one thing in life that's consistent, but none of us enjoy. And so, okay, maybe I could pay a little more attention. Okay. All right, this is kind of fun, and then over the years, and then now look at him,
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It's
yeah.
just, it was really fascinating. Just listening to him talk about all these things that he would do, or all these things he did before he really just clicked. And then people are like, oh shit, this guy's actually funny. And it seemed like it was Saturday Night Live that really was the thing that was like, this guy, he's pretty funny. And then people were like, oh shit.
From what I understand on SNL, like, you're not just the actor.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be a writer. You have to be pitching ideas. It sounds like a lot of work, which is why I'm impressed when people stay for as long as they have, like Kenan, for goodness sake. Like, I think he's the record now, yeah?
Yeah,
like,
I think
at this
so.
point,
Because
for having been on it forever?
Tim Meadows, I think, had it for a bit because I think he had stayed on a few extra years after his initial cast started.
Okay.
And then he finally left. But yeah, I think Kenan holds the title
It's been
of
so long.
longest running cast member.
Because I'm just the amount of work I've heard some of them even talk about. That's why I'm impressed he's been able to have that kind of longevity. So that must say something about Kenan's brain for sure, that he could just keep whipping out these ideas and all this kind of stuff for like almost 2 decades now. Dang, good for you, man. Like, everyone else is like, I'm gonna go do other things. Well, did you though?
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of you did. But every time I always hear that, I'm like, welp. There's very few that I've seen crossover, like, into stardom. Like, you got Adam Sandler, of course. You got Dana Carvey. You got all those. Like, I don't even know that they're doing stuff now. Adam is, I guess, with Netflix still. I don't know.
I think Adam's always pumping out movies and specials and all that stuff, while I don't want to say nobody else is working. It's just he seems to be the guy who really hit success.
Yeah, there's a few where it's just like everyone knows who they are now and may not have even realized they started on SNL. There's always those ones. So I don't know. I mean, you can't stay on it forever, I guess.
No.
I could see as an actor you'd want to kind of branch out. I don't know. I just want Kate McKinnon to make it. Like, she's probably one of the funniest humans I've ever seen, So, like, I want good things to happen for her. I really do.
So
anyway.
Yeah, with Conan being on Saturday Night Live, like I said, I from everything I remember hearing him say about his time, and I'm hoping I've got the timeline correct.
I know it was like early 90s, like late 80s, maybe.
It was definitely in the 80s, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, he did a show, and I vaguely remember the show. I only remember this because of some HBO special or something like that. There was a show on HBO called Not Necessarily the News, and I think he said that was his first writing job for a show. And then that got him to Saturday Night Live because, I guess people he knew, they started writing over there and was like, hey, this guy's pretty funny. He transitions over there for a few years. And I genuinely believe it was kind of in that 85, 86 spot right there. And for some reason, I thought it was backwards, but it wasn't. From Saturday Night Live, then he goes to work on The Simpsons. And then
that's right.
Starts writing over there. That's actually the very first time I saw his name was on The Simpsons. I didn't know who he was, but I remember seeing his name as a writer or a producer. And I never connected those dots until he got the show. And then I was like, hey, I wonder if that's the same guy. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nothing to it. But then, he got the show. And that was because Lauren knew him from working on Saturday Night Live. He was the producer of, what was the name? That was just Late Night, wasn't it? Yeah, Late Night.
I think it was just Late Night with Conan O'Brien.
Right.
Yeah.
So
with Conan O'Brien.
So Lauren recommended him for the show, even though Conan was like, what are you nuts? Because who is he? You know,
Right.
that was literally his mindset. It's like, who the hell am I?
Not
No,
wrong at
Yeah.
the time. Yeah, nobody knew his face or what he was about. Or
But I feel like that speaks to Lorne being able to see talent in people.
he really can find some good ones for sure.
Like he saw
know?
something in Conan that he didn't see in himself. He was like, "No, you got this. I think you can do it." And that's just, I mean, but again, we look at Saturday Night Live and all the cast members who've come and gone. I've even heard stories of people that never made it, but I don't feel like it was a matter of them not being talented. I think Lorne knew that those people were just not right for the show. You know
And
what I mean?
that's fair. Not everybody will. You might be the most hilarious person in the world, but can't do sketch comedy.
Exactly.
You know,
It just-
there's, it's a different talent, I think, or different.
I mean,
part of your
Christ's
brain.
sake, how many times have we had to witness sports stars on Saturday Night Live try
my
to act?
Why they kept doing it too? I'm just like, guys, come on. Like some of them, it would be kind of hilarious if you got them to know how to just write perfectly for their personality and could kind of make that the joke.
Yeah.
You know, if you got some good writers surrounding you, you could probably still make it work. But yes, dear God, why? Like some people, I know they're famous, but that doesn't mean they need to go on the show. Like Elon Musk, for crying out loud. Why?
Yeah.
Like not an actor, not in anything. Why? Like
Hey.
some choices I just don't understand.
I think everybody was more surprised why Trump was on the show. Because,
Well, that doesn't shock me though,
Eh.
especially beforehand.
yeah, I guess.
Because we all just thought he was some stupid talk show dude that did reality TV and showed up on, bit shows. We made fun of him.
Mm-hmm. And you thought, at least back then, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm 100% wrong because I don't know. But like you said, there was that, he was the billionaire.
Nobody
that people were
took it
just
that
like,
serious.
Yeah, no one thought shit about him. I thought he could take a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. Right?
I
know.
guess not.
Oh, were we wrong?
Yeah.
But yeah, totally. So back then, that wouldn't have struck me as odd. you know.
Anyway.
But true.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes we don't get it.
But as we said,
Okay.
Conan got his show. As the rest is history from that point on. That's where we get to here. We've come a long way.
Oh God,
to
have we?
talking to the show.
Right, 42 minutes in. Now we're talking about the show. But yes,
So
Conan Must Go.
now, when you heard about this, were you excited for it? Were you kind of like, I might give it a watch?
I wasn't sure what to expect. I've been waiting for years because I kept hearing that he was supposed to be doing some other show. And I never knew what it was. I think I assumed it'd be another talk show type thing. So when I heard it was this, which was actually fairly recently before it aired. So either they kept it well hidden or I just was not reading in the right places where they were talking about it. But at first I was a little leery about it until I saw the commercials and went, oh yeah, no, okay, this is going to work. Because over the years, he's definitely taken to bits in a different commitment level than he even did on his talk shows. And he's probably had to reel it back some, I would imagine, on just like regular TV or cable when he went to TNT or whatever. Only so much you could probably do,
Yeah.
But my God. Yeah, he's just like later Conan, late life Conan is just early Conan on steroids.
So since we're already on this subject, we got to talk about the Hot Ones episode, okay?
Oh my gosh.
Because
that should tell you right there.
when I saw that he was on there, I was like, oh, cool. Like Hot Ones is one of those shows that I'll watch. I don't
Only
watch
if I like the person. Yeah.
Right.
I have
Like-
to want to,
if it's somebody that I'm interested in actually watching or listening to an interview with, then I'll watch it. If it's somebody that somebody I don't know or somebody that I'm not a fan of or just have not
I
really.
think you kind of have to be because of how detailed Sean is. Like, one thing I will give Hot Ones, my God, and he gets complimented about that all the time now at this point, just like how good of the questions they come up with. It's not just your normal crap they have to answer all the time. So what is your hobbies? What did your... Like, they're finding stuff that, like, even the guest is like, how the hell did you even, So that's why it's fun to watch the people I know, because I know I'll probably be learning something I would have never even thought to look into or ask.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't know you, why would I care about all those details? I guess I don't know.
That's
Not to be rude.
That's what makes a great interviewer, though. Like even when we've had to interview people, that's kind of my goal. You know, I want to find things that I've not heard. I'll scour through other podcasts, that I've seen them on, just to make sure that I'm not asking the same question. And I even preface that sometimes with certain people that I've interviewed, where it's just like, try to cover ground that we haven't talked about before, or you haven't talked about, but, I'm sure that there's going to be something that overlaps, but I'm trying, hopefully we'll get some new information or new stories or things that you haven't talked about. But yeah, goddamn, that Hot Ones episode, Hot Ones is never a show that I've watched to laugh, probably get amusement out of it because people are just like, oh my God, this is hot. And you just see them suffering. But I have never just belly laughed so hard.
Oh, I did it Gordon Ramsay the first time Gordon was on. Mm-hmm. I recommend if you haven't watched that to go watch that, because that had me folding for sure. Probably one of the first ones that I laughed that hard at. Mm-hmm. But yes, to your point, you don't usually think you're just going to be like, holy crap, this is hilarious.
Furthermore, this was the first Hot Ones episode that I had ever seen stretch out beyond just viewing it. Suddenly, everyone was fucking talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, I saw news outlets. I saw it trending on Twitter. I was like, holy shit.
God,
so
it's probably at like 10 million views now.
It has to
be.
Because, as you pointed out, he is committing so fucking hard.
He took it over.
Yes, he did. And he just, the level of insanity he went to, just giving no shits about the hot sauce. They've mentioned several times, many times, you watch that show, do not overdo it with the hot sauce. And he's just,
when's it gonna get hot, Sean? When's it gonna get hot? As he's like drinking it, he drank it. And I was like, you are going to hate yourself tomorrow for this bit. Maybe later tonight, for all I know. But, oh my God.
But I appreciated the fuck out of it because I laughed so hard.
Well, and I almost felt bad for Sean a little bit because I don't think he even really got to ask anything. And when he did, Conan didn't answer. It's like Conan came on going, I've got this.
Yeah.
And he took over the entire show. He had bits running throughout the whole thing, for crying out loud. So, of course, he planned this whole thing out. Like, he had a bit with a doctor, which I think was actually just one of his writers or something.
Probably.
But like coming in and pretending to be like his doctor and just their back and forth was hilarious. The fact he would just keep the wings in his pocket, like he had thought about all of these things, and it was Conan's show. Mm-hmm. Sean, you are just there now at this point.
Which
you told him it was the finale. He's gonna give you a finale.
Yep. But even if it, I think in that instance, if I was Sean, I would have just said to hell with it. Let it go, because this is gold, and I can't.
You can't reel it in at that point.
Yeah, step aside. Let the man do his business, because he was. I mean, Sean seemed like he was enjoying it too, and it was just like, just let it happen, man. Just let it happen.
Nothing I could do. But I have to admit, though, it got too gross for me. Like by the end, I was looking away. I was just telling my husband, I'm like, let me know when he's not like food everywhere, snot everywhere. Like I can't. It's so disgusting.
But that's what I think that's what was making me laugh so much, is just how disgusting he was going with it. I was like, he's not stopping. He's just keep going up a level. It's like, no, I gotta stop that. If you laugh
a little bit, he's that type that's just going to keep pulling that thread harder and harder until the laughs stop.
Yeah. I think I've heard him say that very thing. Like, as soon as he gets a laugh, it's just like, I'm lit up.
Yep.
Like, I'm going to keep going.
All right. Let's see how far I can go with it. Yeah. But yeah, it was an interesting Hot Ones to be sure. He definitely commits on a whole new level.
So on that show, he was there promoting this. So let's actually talk about the show.
Yes. Well, there was 4 episodes, so I think we've timed this out pretty well.
Yeah, and you can. I mean, they were about an hour, give or take.
Yeah, I feel like the first one was like an hour, then 50, then 40, then I don't know, so not a consistent one. But let's say an hour. Let's just say an hour.
Because for each trip, they almost made it sound like there was only one person he was going to visit, but there were actually at least two in each country that he actually ran into. So it was kind of like half with one, half with another. And even that, I don't even want to say is accurate, because it was like a little time with that person, then he'd go off and do something else, like explore
he had his own plans.
Yeah. And then they'd bounce to another person, other plans, whatever. And I was fine with that. It's just very much like a spinoff of like Conan Without Borders, which is that show that he did on TBS, where he'd travel around and stuff like that.
I forgot about that entirely. Okay.
Yeah. So in the vein of that, but I feel like they took it a step further, because not only was he just visiting, it wasn't like a regular travel show. The bits were the other thing, where he would do these commitment to bits. And I think that's what even just made it more fun for all of us.
And people around. Because I loved when the cameras would get random people walking by or something. You could tell some who probably knew who it was. And then some were like, what's happening over there with this tall guy who's just screaming?
Yeah.
Is he okay? Is he okay? He's fallen on the ground now and he's doing all this, So
the bit he did in Thailand, where
I think that was my favorite episode.
Yeah.
Thailand.
Because what was it? He was walking through like one of the shopping areas or whatever, and the guy said this is like the hottest, like the hottest
I think that
food.
was Norway.
Was that Norway? No, that was.
Oh wait. Oh, food. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about his clothes when he was out sitting out front, and everyone's like, no. But yes. Okay,
yeah.
the food.
Yeah. He I guess it was like chicken on a stick, or I don't remember what it was, but
there was a scorpion.
Yeah, there was a scorpion too. Yeah, that's right.
But he didn't actually eat it. He pretended to, and then like a green screen mouth or something popped up over his face like he was chewing it. Yeah, that was great. And I was like, is he really gonna?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, he ate something like super hot, and then it just committed to a bit where he was like hallucinating and
having this fever dream down the street. Yeah.
Just madness. And you could like they did these close-up shots of his face running through the streets. But as you said, just imagine the people who are seeing this going, what the fuck is going on?
Like, do they know this guy? Some probably did. Some probably just saw this guy with a bunch of cameras. But like, they would find it hilarious, because a lot of those countries too, like their humor is a lot more slapstick or huge. Because he went on a talk show there, or a game show, or what would you call it? Where he was very much like, I don't know what any of y'all are saying. I don't speak the language, but I'll come on this show and stand here and do a thing. And they had him sing.
Yeah.
But they put up the words like phonetically for him or something, so he could actually be singing in the language. And just he committed. Yeah. He has no clue what he's saying. He could be saying the most hateful, horrible things for all he knows, but he's just going to commit to it and run around. And it's glorious. That's his humor.
Yeah, him sitting there saying, I don't know what's happening. Like,
no idea
like
what you guys are saying at all.
Just celebrating and doing all this weird shit. It's like, I don't know what's going on. And this aired on television.
Yep.
It's like, okay.
He flat out's just like, I don't know what you just said. No.
Now, I think it was also in Thailand, and I could be wrong, but I feel like I don't remember what he was getting dressed for, but he went to that clothing shop and they put him in this garment. I guess it looked like a regal garment.
Was that like a man who would walk through here, and like a man who would
and he just
put his leg forward. Yeah.
On and on.
And the woman's face where she's just like, is he done? No.
Oh my God.
She sat so calm.
How many people did we see with just that? God damn it.
Yep. And then you always know the fan, because the one woman behind her too, she's just laughing. So it's like, she knew Conan. The other woman's like, I'm just getting paid to stand here for right now, and I don't know what he's doing.
And you could see visually as it seemed like he was going to stop, and then he'd start in, and you could she just deflate like, God damn it. Please let this.
Like, what is he saying?
Get him out of here.
Right? I think it was Thailand.
Yeah.
Like, that was my favorite episode. Just even like starting with Anna, the first person, and her mom.
Oh
like
my God,
it was just
yes.
hilarious. Like he's dying because she's just yelling at him and telling him to go do this, that, or the other. Because what was it? Anna said, my mom always just yells at me. She's just always yells for me when we're in the house. Like, Anna, and just screaming really loud. And she's like, I'm trying to do schoolwork or something. And my mom's just, so Conan's like, I'll fix that for you. Right. So he's like talking to her mom, like, you need to stop yelling at her. And she just would like keep smiling. Like she's like, nope. And would just start slapping him around and kicking him and all this stuff. And he's just like, what is happening right now?
Why are you attacking me?
When you see Conan go with that look, like, what is happening? Then you know it's glorious because if even he's not sure. Oh, man. Yeah, I loved her. And then when they went to the rock climbing, that was still my favorite because when he called her the Don Rickles of Thailand, I died. I just folded because like she really was quick with these zingers, man, you know? And I'm like, who is this woman, you know? Oh, but that line, it floored me. The Don Rickles of Thailand just floored me to no end. That's a good one. Watch that one for sure, that episode.
The energy in that one was just bar none. Top
Is that
notch.
the one with the gondola too when he was shopping?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so see,
because he found, you've probably seen it in a trailer, or of course it's blurred out and whatever, but he finds some guy, the shopkeeper with, what was it? Like
It was definitely a penis, but I don't know what it was supposed to actually. Maybe it was a toy. Maybe it was a coat hook for all I know that you put on the wall. Like I don't know what it was, but it was definitely a penis.
Yeah,
That's all I know.
Just a penis, and he was sitting there holding it, just pointing it out, and then suddenly a boat goes by with children, and he drops it. He's like, no,
hiding it under his hat or something. I'm like, what are you like? Oh my God, stop! Yeah, he wanted everything.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Now, Norway, when he went there, that's where he got it. Like, he went into a shop and he put on this fucking ridiculous outfit, went out there on the street and started talking to guys like, people dressed like this. Like, no. And he's like, so this is not great. No. And the guy was just so deadpan, like, no.
And I feel like all of them in Norway were. So either that's just kind of their temperament or he got a lot of people to play that bit. Just keep saying no as straight as you can. But they didn't break. Nope. So that's why I was like, either they're really good or they really are just like a deadpan humor type people. And you know what? I love it.
Yeah.
I love deadpan humor if it's done well. Like just, yeah. Oh, gosh. But he got to be what Viking, though, in that one.
Yeah.
That was what I appreciated that for sure.
Yeah, he definitely has a Viking look when he had all the getup on. I was like, all right. Yeah, you look a little intimidating.
It was the insulting match that I just like. I died because, like, I'm assuming it's just a group of people who live out like Vikings there, or they at least like role play it. I don't know. I kind of imagine it like I guess how people would go be Confederate for a weekend or whatever. You know, maybe it's like that. But I don't know if they actually live that way or not. But he was like the biggest reasons why people fought back in the day. You know, was like stealing or insulting each other, and the poor guy Conan's like, insult me, and the guy just he's too nice, I guess, of a human, and he's like, he couldn't think of horrible things to say about him, and then even when it was an insult, we're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll go with that being the insult, and then they would fight with their swords or whatever.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I just felt bad for him. He's racking his brain. You could see he's trying so hard to come up with something mean to say, and he just couldn't. And I was like, aw, this guy, it's too nice. Leave him alone. Go. Leave him alone.
Now, the one episode, I was actually trying to remember what happened in Argentina, and then it clicked. What I remembered having the most fun out of with that episode, and that's where he and his producer friend Jordan Schlansky would have these conversations, and he just, like, Conan tore his asshole up.
That's their thing, though, I think. Yeah. Those two have done this with each other for so long, and he knows he's wrong. Like, I feel like his friend Jordan knows.
Yeah.
He's just being a dick. I mean, for lack of a better word, like, what was the word that they, that he kept correcting him on how to pronounce?
God, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because it was a whole bit.
He went back in the kitchen and he asked him, and was it Tongo?
Yes, Tongo. Because it was like, do you say
Tango
Tongo or Tango? And they're just like
Tongo. He's like, see? She goes, no, it's Tongo. And he's like, they speak the language.
They said tango.
But so as soon as I heard him kept saying it's Tongo and Petty, and trying to be so proper about all the things, I'm like, oh my God, that's his bit to just be that guy,
But then he kind of, what was it, that last little bit that they were doing toward the very end, and he just lost it. Like he couldn't commit to it anymore. With it. Yep. There was that one cowboy that was just looking like that was another one of those where you had people, you could tell there were some who were enjoying it, and others was just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
What he's doing. Yeah. Like they paid us to stand here, I guess, so I will. But oh yeah. Oh no, it was because it was like their dad or grandpa or something. I think he spoke a little English, but not a lot. So he always was just like, every time Conan did something stupid, he's just like nodding along, like, okay.
It's like, whatever.
How long am I supposed to participate?
Yeah.
Like, this is not my humor. But I mean, for that episode, for me, the football, hands down, like that was a lot of fun to watch him playing football. You could tell even the team was having just such a good time screwing around with him on the field. And then, I guess he got hurt or something. And so he committed to this whole bit of him just screaming and blood going everywhere and all, and they're just laughing. And the foot where he kicks the ball in the face, and then just walks over and throws the foot on them at the ground. Oh, wait, no, that might have been the fighting, not the soccer, when he fought the MMA guy or something.
Yeah, was that in... That was in Thailand, wasn't it?
Confusing. Was it in Argentina? It might not have been. Maybe it was.
I feel like that. Yeah, it was either.
I feel like it had to be
Thailand or Argentina. One of the two.
Yeah, it was one of those two. I think it was the fight, though. I think I might have it confused.
Yeah,
with the foot bit.
Because I remember. Because it was like one kick off to the side, other kick up here, 2 kicks.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what?
Yeah, like he jumped up. He would jump, and then the camera would cut to like those 2 feet or whatever. Yeah. And then at the end, when they're all just like laying on the ground or whatever, that's when he just threw it over. And like, this is hilarious because they all get in the ring. He's like, I'm going to have all of us fight you now, Oh, man.
It's just those ludicrous, little bits. They're just, I don't know. It's a kind of humor that I just don't feel like a lot of people are doing anymore.
Or know how to do well, because that gets dumb really quick.
Sure.
And I think that's the reason why, like, a lot of the times I didn't care for, like we're saying, Jim Carrey or something. Like, it just felt like it was always just a very forced thing. And while I totally get that this is also very forced, I don't think Conan actually lives his life like this. I mean, my God, the man would have a headache day in and day out, But it's the way he could fit in the timing of the bit, I guess. It's like he understands where his humor makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely not for everybody, and I get that. Because even sometimes he's done stuff where I'm like, okay, now, hot ones for, like, put the food back in your mouth, put the snot back, blow your nose. Like, I can't, But it's you, man. You do you. And people loved it. But,
so, with the Island episode, I did want to talk about this. We have, actually, you and I have been to his hometown. I don't know if you know that or not. But
in where?
Well, we've been to Boston, but we've also been to Brookline, which is where the Sam Adams Brewery was about.
Oh,
so
okay.
Somewhere within that town, Conan O'Brien grew up. Or in that part of Boston, I guess.
I don't know if I would have made that connection.
I've heard him mention it before, and I was like, Brookline. I was like, oh shit, that's where we went to go to the Sam Adams Brewery.
Yeah, that didn't click. Okay.
Yeah. So, fun little fact for all of us. We have not seen his childhood home or anything like that.
You know what, though? I should say, I did see a taping of Conan.
Oh, yeah?
Late Night with Conan. I can't believe I didn't even think to, like, tell you that. It was definitely about 2001 or so. My niece and I went to New York. And it was when Carson Daly still had his show. He might still, I don't know.
I doubt it.
We stood outside at like 4 a.m. to get in line, to get a line number, which doesn't mean you'll actually get to go in. It just means if that many people don't show up and my number gets pulled, I can go in. So you have to like come back later. And we ended up getting in. And all I really remember about the show is, of course, his tomfoolery. And I know Dan Aykroyd was on it because I remember Dan standing up and doing like some little song and dance as they went into commercial break or whatever. But Lots of fun. I was on cloud nine that day. I was like, hey, I got in to see Conan and I got to see a Broadway show that night. It was a very long, full day for me, but it was great. So yeah, I at least could say I got to see him taping once in New York.
Well, that's still cool. I mean,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I honestly, like, if the stars would align and we ever got to like bump into him on the street, like that alone would be just joyful because he says all the time. I mean, obviously, there's going to be times he doesn't want to be bothered. No one wants to be bothered all the time, but
everybody wants to be able to just grab milk and get out sometimes.
But he does seem like the type that would, like, if we saw him and we're like, Conan, he'd want to do a picture thing. I think I've mentioned. I don't know if I mentioned it here or not, or if I told you. There was a story about a guy in an airport wanting to get a picture, and they were in the TSA line. Did I tell you that story?
Have you heard that story? Maybe. It slipped my mind if you had.
I have a tale to tell, and it's an embarrassing tale. And I think these are the ones you guys like.
These are our favorites.
This is a true story. I just flew in from Boston. I was seeing my family there. And then I go to Logan Airport, and I'm going to take the flight from Boston to Los Angeles. And I am in the line. You know, you wait in the line to hand your stuff over, put it on the conveyor belt. So you're a little distracted, but I'm, taking my belt off. I'm putting it down into this bucket. And this very nice kid who's wearing a white sweater and he has glasses and dark hair. And he says, "Oh, hi, Conan." And he could not have been nicer. He said, "Your show means a lot to me, or your TV show meant a lot to me. I've listened to Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend all the time." He's very beautifully talking about what the work has meant to him and all that. And I just had like the nicest conversation with him, and he was kind of holding his phone, but we were just about to go through whatever, the x-ray machine. And so he had to put his phone in, and I was kind of thinking, I think he wanted to do a photo, but he didn't, okay? Hold on. But anyway, we go through, and I'm thinking, that guy was so nice. So I get through, and I get some of my stuff, and I stand up, and standing there, white sweater, glasses, dark hair, this guy, and I just walk up to him and say, "Hey, let's do a selfie." And he said, "Okay." And he starts to fish around in his luggage for his camera. And I'm thinking, he was just holding his camera and he doesn't seem that interested. And what the fuck? That's weird. I thought I was being super nice because he said all those nice things. And he starts to pick it up and he goes, "Okay." And I look at him and I go, "Wait a minute.
Oh, no.
It's not that guy." I swear to God, so this guy, who's just a guy who's wearing, and I look over and I see the other guy. Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm not kidding. I swear to God, this is all exactly happened. I see the other guy. He's wearing a sweater that is practically identical. They look very similar, and he's got glasses. And I see him standing over at a post, holding his cell phone.
And he's thinking, why wouldn't he take a selfie with me?
And I'm looking at this guy, and he goes, "Okay." And he takes a selfie of us. And so look at it from his perspective. He's sitting there waiting for another relative, a girlfriend or whatever, to come through. And Conan O'Brien walks up and goes, "Hey, let's do a selfie."
He must have thought you were insane.
He thought I was fucking insane. And so then I start to go, no. I thought you were him. And I'm pointing to the other guy. And the other guy isn't even looking at me at that point. He's looking at his phone because he just got a text. And there's no good explanation for why you would walk up to a stranger and say, hey, buddy, let's get a selfie. You're going to want this. You're going to want this. So somewhere out there's a guy who isn't a fan, doesn't care, maybe actively dislikes what I do. I came up to him and made him take a selfie.
In any case, I think it would be cool if we ever got a chance to meet him. Shout out some of the shit because there's apparently 2 phrases you got to say to him if you're a fan of the podcast and you happen to see him. He wants people to shout, like be on the other side of the street and just shout it at him. Okay. And the first one was Katakai as God made her. And apparently this was some joke that went back to, I can never remember his name. He was the guy who hosted the Inside the Actor Studio. James Lipton? Is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that sounds, yeah.
Apparently that was something he said about his wife. Like,
oh, okay.
that was like her name was Katakai, and he would say, as God made her. And that was just kind of so he thought that was hilarious. So he wanted people to start shouting that. But then now it's morphed into, there is talk of gerbils. And this then relates back to a time that Mickey Rooney was on his show trying to remember the name of Richard Gere. And all he could come up with was, there was talk of gerbils. And Conan was like, what? What are you talking about?
There was talk of gerbils, and still to this day, I'm like, how did we accuse Richard Gere of gerbils?
How he navigated that. If you've never seen that, look that clip up online, because I'll even insert it here.
But do you like the movies today in general?
Do
What's your
I
comment?
love them, but I'll tell you one thing. I love De Niro pictures, Pacino, Niro, right? And then Charles Grodin is a very dear friend of mine, and I'm on his show every once in a while. And I love him, and I saw Carol Burnett the other night. But when you talk about motion pictures, I don't think there's anything better for anybody to see than, oh gosh, who was the guy who, there was talk of.
What? What are you... I'm not going to help you with this, Mickey. I don't know what you're talking about. What?
What? Richard Gere. No, listen to me. Wait a minute. That's yucky. I know Conan, but there was a thing in the Inquirer I saw. But anyway.
Andy, help me out here.
But his latest picture with this young guy and this woman playing the prosecuting attorney is the most thrilling picture I've seen in many, many, many years.
So then why did you start with that? I'm going to get
tell you
the
very
crap
truthfully.
suit out of me, Mickey.
No, I'm not.
No, I am. Not you, Mickey, me, right here.
I'll be right with you.
Oh, great, thanks.
I'll be right with you.
But it's just him trying to navigate that scenario is like, are you trying to get us canceled? You can't say that.
You could say gerbils. You just
But
can't say what
the
he was gonna do with
implication,
it.
the lawsuits that could possibly come up,
It's so funny. Like, people are weird.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I don't even think that really happened, but I think it's funny that we all know it about it.
yeah, I don't understand it. But anyway.
I should look that up one day. I am curious. How the hell did he get accused of that? Like, I need to find. Did you ever look it up?
If I am not mistaken, if I have heard this story correctly, I think it had something to do with Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, like he
starting the rumor.
Oh, interesting.
I
now, Sly, what's up, man?
I could be wrong. I might be misremembering the details, but I'm almost positive it was Stallone started that rumor.
I feel like I have more questions now than I have answers.
Yeah, so if I'm wrong, somebody will correct me. I'm sure.
So they definitely will.
I think that is correct. But the Ireland episode, yeah, he went back home to Ireland. He's done that before. I mean, I think he did that on. Yeah, I think he did it on actually his original show and even Conan Without Borders, or I don't know. He's been there. He traces back his family roots in this episode, which we talked about that. I don't know if we talked about it on here or in our personal day-to-days or whatever. That would be a kind of a cool idea, because I know that Eugene Levy did it on his show, The Reluctant Traveler. And I think I want to say it was Ireland where he found his home roots. But I could be wrong. I might be forgetting, but obviously Conan knows he's 100% Garden grade A Irish.
You know what? And he looked the most Irish out of anybody he talked to. And I'm just like, so was I lied to about how many redheads are floating around Ireland? Because he was the only one I remember seeing.
That's true. I mean, I don't.
And then other people were making fun of him for being like, he's good looking for a redhead. And I'm like, what? But isn't that your people? I'm so confused. I must just be full of stereotypes over here. I don't know. I've never been there. I'm sure you're lovely people. I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, they all kind of. I don't know. I remember that one old guy that he talked to who was also
Oh my
O'Brien.
God. Yeah.
And it was just like, so we could be related, and guys probably like, nah. And
Now, if you wanted to give me money or something.
yeah, he's like, so will a tenor do it? He's like, no. He's like, no. He's like, how much are you wanting? And he's like, what do you say, like 100,000? He's like, 100,000.
100,000 for you to say maybe we're related or whatever word it was he wanted him to say. And the guy's like, yeah. It's like,
Yeah, not happening.
no. Yeah, I
But
don't blame you there.
But I thought it was cool where he actually got to see, because I think it would be cool for a lot of people. Like, I'd say I'm lucky to a point where at this moment in time, I have a place that I can go that I know is where my family grew up for at least decades before I was even thought of,
Okay.
So it's kind of like my homeland, if you will. Like, that's home. For him to actually go to the land where his ancestors came from, where they owned the land, they had a house. I think they even said that there was a house standing there at one point, and they had to tear it down for.
I'm sure it got condemned. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that would be really, really cool. Like, I've seeing a lot of this. Just, I don't know if I would ever have, like, just feel a connection or anything like that, but I think it would be neat just to at least see, and someone could say, this is where your great, 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 great fill in the blank worked. They lived.
I'm not sure I'd want to know because we're very German.
Yeah, okay.
Like, you don't know, but you don't know.
You don't know. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
You don't know.
That would
So-
kind of break your heart. It's like, Grandpa
Like,
was a Nazi.
damn.
Shit.
Yeah, and I don't know. You
You don't know? Yeah.
I just know it was my dad's dad who was the one basically fresh off the boat into New York and stayed. So it's not even that many generations, if you think about it, that's been here from his side. So I'm like, coming over in the 30s? I don't know, man.
Could be fun. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not.
So for me, and I'm sure that because I've talked about my, what do you call it? Your ancestry DNA test or whatever. And I'm like 100% white as they come.
As they come.
As
I've
they
never
come.
seen more whiter countries put together in my life. Yeah.
But in saying that, like, I was at least happy to, as I was trying to trace my lineage, a lot of it, I guess it kind of bothered me at first. Is it was like, well, where's the interesting part of it? Because I was waiting to see where it would branch off, because I'd start looking at all the really close family members, and they're all coming from the same towns, the same state.
Sure.
And I was just like, man, where does this kind of deviate? And I think it was, and I'm actually trying to look it up right now so I can speak with absolute certainty, because it was on my mom's side, I think it was. And there was a grandfather that I had, great, whatever the fuck, who came from Sweden. And, like, I got the record that he had migrated from Sweden back in, I think it was the 1860s, maybe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I could see the like how it kind of came through. So at least I know of at least one relative by name that came from another country. And that would be, like, I've never thought about myself as being Swedish, but clearly I have that in me. And
there you go.
a part of me is a little curious about that. Like, what would that be like? Who was he, in Sweden? Because in America, not saying it can't be interesting, but it's America,
Right.
A different country is
But we've
new.
been here, so we're like, been here, done that. Yeah.
Exactly. So it would just be kind of fun to see something different or
Sure.
something.
I mean,
that
you
just
could
kinda
go.
deviates.
Let's go check it out. I've always wanted to visit there.
I think it would be fun.
There's a lot of places I want to visit if I ever could just, like, get the cash and the time to just go take off. Hopefully before I die, but I don't know.
Hopefully. Oh, okay. So it was my. Hang on. So it split from my. Because there's my mom's grandfather, his wife. Her family was the ones from Sweden.
Okay.
So it was.
So all on your mom's side?
Yeah. Or at least that's where I've seen that part of it. And their last name was Achenbaum, I think it was. So, I don't know. It stretches. Yeah, Johann Peter Achenbaum
Yes.
was his name.
He's definitely from over there.
Johannes Achenbaum. And I think that's about as far as I got. But yeah, even the way they spell it, I thought that was kind of interesting because I've heard of that too. Obviously, my first introduction to the changing of names when people migrated.
Yeah, ours was also.
They spelled it Ykkenbom. So for Sweden, Eckenbaum, or however you might pronounce it.
However they say it, yeah.
That's how, or at least that's how they spelled it. And then, of course, when they came here, changed it to a more AC, make it look like the word.
Well,
instead
like
of
an American version or whatever they were doing at the time to make it sound more immigrant friendly, I guess. So it didn't look on its face right away that they were. I don't know, whatever they had to do or felt like they had to do.
So I mean, they came over at some point.
Yeah.
And even all right, so they're my fourth great grandparents is what they're called. My fourth great grandmother on that side, she had one of those what would you say, like a Viking Norse type last name? You know how they would take like your father's name as part of your last name as like your surname, and then kind of like Thor. I hate to use this, but it's the most easy thing to do. Thor, Odin's son. That is his name. So he is Odin's son. Okay. Her name was Anna Pers Doter, which is like purse, daughter. And I thought, that's the thing. I've seen that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of neat.
Just like they just got to you and you're like, that white.
Yeah, we're white.
You're just white now.
And it makes me wonder where that surname stems from, because you get people with their last name Blacksmith or something like that. You're like, oh,
well, yeah, because back in the day, sometimes it was just what they did.
Yeah,
their trade was their last name.
I just got mine for being white. I
guess. Yeah, they just got. By the time it got to you, you're like, we're out of ideas. Just white.
Yeah,
he's no one's particular son. He's
just white.
It's
just all in his DNA. Anyway, yeah, Conan. What else did he do in Ireland? He sang with the tenors, or
he did.
He did. Who they?
I think
is that what they were called? The three tenors, or
well, there was, yeah.
I know they had a name.
I was trying to think of but that was of course great. Which one did he sing on stage at?
I think that
where he came in literally just to sing that thought and then got out when he was back.
Norway. Yeah, because the guy he went there, his rap group or whatever.
Whatever they were.
Okay.
Yeah. To each their own. Maybe if I knew the language, I'd understand it a little bit more. But because they were definitely doing it in Norwegian, right? And
yeah.
Conan was making fun of them for it. I'm like, hey, now. Don't make fun of their language, But yeah. And whatever it was he was singing. Yeah. Oy. But yes, I believe it was the three tenors or whatever, Irish tenors or something like that. Yeah.
It did look like one of them, out of every group of three that there seemed to be, there was always that one person, as we've so mentioned, and there was at least the one on the end just didn't seem to be all that keen on Conan singing.
Right. He was just like, oh my God.
But I'll give him credit, at least when they sang in that pub at the end. I mean, he did seem like he was in it at that point. He wasn't just like, oh, here's this fucking guy again.
Well, he was just trying.
Yeah. Like it was during that trying to audition, if you will, kind of bit. The guy was just like, Jesus Christ.
Well, it's Conan trying to pretend like he can sing like that. So, of course, if you're like, I am trained in this is this guy just coming up into here. No, that was a good little bit. And then they sang together at the bar. And I love when the camera finds the people who are like, what the hell's going on right now? Because I know they cut to like one guy standing at the bar and literally he's just like staring. Like,
What?
Who's the other guy with them? Okay. My favorite of the Ireland episode, though, was the soap opera.
Yes. The soap opera. Oh my God, I forgot about that. Yes.
They wrote it out again phonetically for him because it's I guess the last or only soap opera left in the Irish language. You know, and yes, good on y'all for understanding what the hell that is. You know, but it was just funny. They wrote him a cue card as phonetically as possible and held it off to the side. But you know, the other actors very professional. They kept up with it. His whole shtick was him coming in to deliver balloons.
Something like that, yeah.
Which, you know, I've watched enough soaps where I'm like, that's not far off from a thread they'd pull on. No.
Sure.
Yeah. But my God. It was great.
Yeah, the fact that there is still even an Irish language just... And not to say that, you know, there shouldn't be or anything like that. It's just, you don't hear
English
about
is
it.
taken over, yeah.
Yeah, you don't hear it. Like the only thing, genuinely the only phrase that I understood because I've heard it before was Pug Mahone, which kiss my ass. I've heard that. So it was just like, oh, of course I've heard that because people like to swear in other languages. So
it's usually the first thing I learn in any other language is like, how do I call someone a bitch? And how do I,
And you know what the funny thing is? You'd think I'd have done that with Japanese already, and I just have not committed to it.
Look at you being respectful.
I know. I've just, like, I've got a book that I think Katrina got me at some point. It was like just quick, easy, dirty phrases in Japanese, and I was like, I thumbed through it, and I've not retained them for some reason. It's just like, meh.
You go drink it at the bar with a bunch of them one night though, and whip that out. Oh, they're gonna love you. I'm telling you what, they know how to have a good time sitting around a bar drinking. I used to wait on a bunch of them, and holy crap, they are out of control sometimes. Yep.
There any other bits that you remember? I know. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I think this is in Norway. Because didn't he speak to was she a relationship counselor, or you remember they were sitting at a bar or something like that, and he was trying to figure out, because there was some etiquette to Norwegian women where
yes, yes, but again, the poor woman didn't really get to do anything. He took over the whole thing. But yeah, like trying to get to know sexual compatibility or something.
Yeah, because was like,
they sleep with each other right away and then kind of decide, or whatever it was she was saying.
Yeah, it was some like good on you, I guess, but it's just like, well, all right, a little too promiscuous for me, I suppose.
Yeah, but she was trying her best to get him on track, and he just wasn't. And but why don't we talk? Okay. And I was like, well, hon, you should have watched a couple of things with him in it and just realized you weren't really there to teach him anything. No.
Or when, I think it was in that same bit too, she was trying to talk about what he needed to do to just be more, I guess, attractive.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there just like licking on something or doing shit with his tongue. And she's like, that's not.
And she was teaching her like who pays the bill or what situation they would pay the bill. And then he decided to pay it right away or something. And she's like, oh, he wasn't listening or something, you know.
Yeah, because wasn't it
that his credit card was getting declined over and over? Because he's not really paying a bill, you guys. They're pretending to do this date or whatever. Mm-hmm. So he pretended the check came. And then he pretended to hand a credit card, you know, and then for like 5 minutes proceeded to hand fake credit cards over, pretend that it was getting declined. Like, I'm so sorry, you know, to get her to pay for it.
And what was it, the rule that she said? It was like, so if a guy offers to pay the check up front, then it seems like he's too eager. But if he doesn't...
it seemed to conflict with each other though, because it made it sound like you're both just going to stand there staring at each other to see who should pay, or if it should just be a Dutch situation and call it, you know, because by the time she was done, I was like, so So who pays the bill?
And he
Why
even
would she
pointed
get
that
mad
out.
that he picked it up? Like
Like he
I don't
pointed
know.
that out. He was just like, "There's no winning." He's like, "I can't win because if I
Yeah.
pay it, then you think I'm just trying to take over and
To
take
sleep by-
charge,
sleep with you, yeah.
and then if I leave it to you, you think I'm cheap. So I can't win."
It's kind of how I heard it too, though, in his defense. Because when I was
Yeah.
listening to her talk, I was just like, "So which is it? Which are you supposed? How do you
It's like-
guys date? Do you just go to a park, screw having to pay for things? Just like let's just sit and talk."
I guess.
That seems to be the safest option. Bring your own coffee before you show up. I don't know.
Anyway,
Yeah,
uh,
too difficult.
I don't know if I have any more to say about the show. I can't remember any other bits that really stuck out. I mean, it's 4 hours of nonstop insanity, but in all
It
the
really
best
is.
ways, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been trying to find things that just genuinely make me laugh,
Mm-hmm.
and he's up there. You know, like this is. I listen to Conan's podcast like that is my Monday morning ritual. It is the
Nice.
first thing that I listen to on my way to work, and then I'm never going to finish it on my way to work. So then it just continues until
Oh, true.
into work. So he's my Monday morning start, and I
Nice.
appreciate that because I know I'm going to have fun. I know I'm going to have a good time, and it's a great way to start the start of another grueling
Monday.
work week.
Yeah, another freaking Monday. Yeah.
So if I can bury myself in his shenanigans for an hour and just forget
Why
about
not?
it,
Yeah.
I'm there. I really think the guy is. I'm so glad that he's getting his due. Not to say that he never has, but
Yeah. Well, it just seems like he's a lot happier. He's not as restricted. He doesn't have to follow as many stuff. Now we'll see what Max or HBO or whatever the hell we're calling it now does with it if they pick up more. Because it looks like the 4 is it for now.
for now,
I'm hoping that they want to pick it up and do more. I feel like 4 was too little for the concept.
yeah.
But if it was just a test, if it would go well, I guess I could kind of understand that, you know. I just hope I hope the numbers did well enough for dude to be like, okay, and green light another 4 or however the hell they're gonna do it. I expected 6. For some reason, 6 feels like a nice little half a season.
Well, yeah,
Try
I
it
mean-
out on cable.
I think we see that more often than not. If they're going to go for something a little shorter, 6 seems to be kind of a
Yeah.
nice even. Not to say that 4 isn't even, but you understand what I mean. It's usually
Yeah.
10 or 12 or something like that. And now
Sure.
we're just
We don't have real seasons anymore. We don't have 23, 24 episode seasons anymore. But we've
No.
discussed at length why that is. But or why I think that is. But yeah, 6. 6 should have been it, I feel.
Yeah, I think it would have been fun, but for what it was, again, it's fine. You know,
No, yeah,
like
totally.
I said, for,
Gave
for
you a
a
nice
test
taste
run,
of what it is.
hopefully we can get more. Like you said, I'm a little apprehensive with the leadership over at Max and
Right.
Warner Brothers and all that shit right now because we can't even release a fully finished movie about a
True.
coyote that people would go watch. People are clamoring to go fucking watch, and they won't release it. It would make its money back hand over fist at this point, and they still won't release it. What the fuck is wrong
I
with
think
you?
now he's just stubborn now. It's like, you know what? Like, I made the call. It needs to happen. I keep making the call because we love filming things completely and then just going, well, you know, let's just put it away.
I just don't understand that one. That one's the
know.
one that boggles my mind. Batgirl, I don't want to say that I understand because I still don't understand that one either. I understand that there was a lot of shit going on that could have led to it not coming out, but you filmed it. You didn't
Again, I
finish
guess they're
it.
looking at the tax write-off was going to be better than what he thought he was going to make. I don't know.
But
Otherwise, why wouldn't you? Like, you literally finished the damn thing.
yeah,
you know?
the other one is done. That's the thing that kills me. It is done. It is ready to be released.
I don't get what they're doing over there.
I don't either.
know.
So
They're going to trash it, man. It's just going to go under, you know.
well, we keep hearing, more vultures circling. We've got Sony eyeballing Paramount, and I think Warner Brothers was too. And I don't understand it, but it's the nature of the
didn't it go
business
with-
now.
Who bought Paramount, though? I know we're deviating, but it just showed up on my Showtime now. Like, it's Showtime and Paramount on my Hulu now goes together. And I was like, oh, okay.
Currently, Viacom, I think, is the one that actually owns CBS, Paramount, that whole thing. but I understand that they're struggling right now, and I think that's why there's the potential emerging with.
I mean, we could go on that rant. I think everyone just making their own streaming services now realizing we're not going to buy all of your streaming services.
It's difficult.
We don't like all of your stuff enough to pay another $20 a month for yours. Back in the day when Hulu first started, that was amazing. Everybody was on there. You had a one-stop shop. Now that everybody's siphoned off, I'm like, well, I guess I'm just not going to see your stuff anymore. And I think a lot of them are seeing that you'd be paying over $1,000 a month if you bought every service. That's worse than what cable was. So no, we're not going to buy all your services. Your shit ain't that good.
No.
And if it is, we'll probably buy it for a month so we can watch it, and we're going to cancel you again.
And I hate that it's like that, but if you can't watch everything.
I can't. It's impossible. Yeah.
I try, but I can't. And I'm not going to. I'm just not going to put myself through that. But anyway, yeah. Conan,
I recommend it.
Highly recommended. Go check it out. Let us know what you think, because if we've got other Conan fans out there, I want to support this. I want to see more of it, because he's just a point of joy in my life.
He's just a delight. Yes.
He is.
Just a delight. Yeah.
So, siblings, what did you think about Conan O'Brien Must Go? Let us know on social media at Super Mega Crash. Send us an email if you want to do that instead. Support the show over on Patreon. 5-star reviews on your favorite podcasting app. And keep up with all things over at pencilpaperproductions.com/Super Mega Crash. Links are in the show notes down below. Join us again next week, siblings. But until then, forget the madness and go beyond your limits.
Yay, boo, it's lots of fun to do. If you like it, holler yay. If you don't, you holler boo. I hear the public school burned down. Yay! But they saved old Teacher Brown. Boo. School is closed until next year. Yay! December 31st is here.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.